Flowers. We all know them, right? They're timeless. A symbol of beauty, love, nature, the whole deal. But right now, they are doing something completely different. They're not just hanging out in gardens or sitting in vases anymore. They are literally taking over the world of fashion. And this floral explosion, from the biggest red carpets to our own accessories, is making us ask some pretty big questions about nature, technology, and what beauty even means today.
And it all kind of boils down to this one question. Are we witnessing a true fusion of nature and design, or is this just another trend that's going to wilt in a few months? I mean, just look at this incredible image from the Met Gala. That's Lana Del Rey, and that hauntingly beautiful hawthorn branch headpiece isn't just an accessory. No way. It's a statement piece that perfectly captures all the drama and the entire debate.
So, where did this all kick off? Well, we have to look at fashion's biggest night, the Met Gala. This is where flowers became high fashion, and where simple petals were turned into some serious power statements.
The theme was the Garden of Time, which sounds lovely, doesn't it? But it's actually inspired by a pretty dark, dystopian short story from 1962. It's about this couple trying to hold back an angry mob by picking these magical flowers that literally rewind time. Talk about high stakes, right? So this theme, mixing nature, fragility, and time, basically gave designers the ultimate green light to go absolutely wild with florals.
And oh, the results were just spectacular. We saw Zendaya in not one, but two jaw-dropping nature-inspired looks. Gigi Hadid was just pure elegance, trailing this cascade of yellow roses. Demi Moore wore a dress blooming with these giant peonies made from vintage wallpaper, a piece that took over 5,000 hours to create. Even Bad Bunny got in on it, carrying a bouquet made from the same fabric as his suit. And Nicki Minaj, she was basically a walking sculpture in a garden of 3D metal flowers. This wasn't just slapping on a floral print, this was full-on floral architecture.
And you know how it goes. What happens on the red carpet rarely stays on the red carpet. These incredible high fashion ideas are already starting to bloom in one of the most personal places you can imagine, the wedding aisle.
For 2025, wedding florists are predicting a major shift away from the traditional stuff. The new look is all about movement and impact. Think asymmetrical designs, bold primary colors, and using just one single type of flower to create this really powerful statement. The big takeaway here is that flowers aren't just decorations anymore. They're being treated as full-blown artistic installations.
And this slide right here perfectly illustrates that vibe shift. On the left, you've got your classic formal ballroom centerpiece. Tall, structured, perfectly symmetrical. But on the right, that's the residential vibe everyone's talking about. It's cozier, it's more personal, it feels curated, kind of like a beautiful corner of a really well-styled home, where you're mixing flowers with other things like lamps and plants. It's way less wedding factory and way more uniquely you.
Now, this growing floral obsession, from high fashion all the way to weddings, has kicked up this really fierce debate, real versus fake. It's become a battle between authenticity and durability, between good old-fashioned nature and cutting-edge technology.
And this debate is not just about preference. It is driven by a deep-seated fear of this one little word you see here, tacky. We're talking about authenticity anxiety, a feeling that gets cranked up to 11 in our social media age, where every single detail is under a microscope. People worry that picking artificial flowers is like admitting you failed in the quest for that picture-perfect, authentic event.
But what does tacky even mean when you're looking at a photograph? Well, a lot of the time it comes down to one prime suspect, that awful plastic shine. When a photographer's flash hits a cheap artificial flower, the light doesn't scatter softly. Nope, it bounces back like a laser, creating these harsh white spots. You didn't buy a bouquet, you bought a glare grenade.
And you can see the difference so clearly right here. On the left, the real flower has this natural translucency. Light passes through the petals, creating this soft, beautiful glow. But on the right, the cheap fake is totally opaque and shiny. The flash just hits it and bounces straight off, creating that harsh, flat glare. It's literally the difference between life and plastic.
So how is technology fighting back against that glare? Well, this is where it gets really cool. High-end artificial flower makers have basically become material scientists. They're not just using plastic anymore. They're using this whole matrix of materials engineered to fool the camera. For example, they'll use polyurethane, or PU, for the sleek structure of a tulip because it absorbs light so beautifully. For the soft, romantic feel of a rose, they'll use latex-coated fabrics. Each material is picked to replicate not just the look, but the way a real flower actually behaves in photos.
And all of that brings us to the absolute elite category, real touch flowers. The name really says it all. These aren't just trying to look realistic. They're molded from actual flowers and made with materials designed to copy the exact feel, the weight, and even the tiny little imperfections of a real petal. The goal here is to trick not just your eyes, but your fingers too. So, with technology blurring the lines between what's real and what's fake, a whole new trend is popping up that kind of offers the best of both worlds. You get the beauty of real flowers, but they're made to last. It's the rise of wearable and permanent floral art. The whole idea is to take the emotion of a bouquet and just make it permanent. Instead of something you hold for a day and then it's gone, this trend transforms flowers into something you can wear and keep, well, forever. It makes that floral art deeply personal, totally portable, and completely permanent. And the creativity here is just exploding. I mean, forget the simple corsage. We're now seeing everything from delicate floral necklaces and bold hair crowns to these enchanting floral tattoos, where tiny little blooms are actually adhered right onto the skin. And as you can see, the canvas isn't just the body, it's even extending to shoes and handbags. So you might be wondering, okay, but how on earth do you make a flower last forever? This diagram shows the process, and it's surprisingly accessible. It's basically a form of modern mummification for flowers. You pick a bloom that means something to you, you carefully dry it out to preserve its shape and color, and then you seal it in resin. This little protective shell lets you craft it into a piece of jewelry that literally captures a moment in time.
And what's really great is that this trend connects to a much bigger conversation we're all having about sustainability. By preserving real, ethically sourced flowers, we're cutting down on the waste of single-use floral arrangements. It's a way to cherish nature's beauty without treating it as disposable, creating a keepsake that's both beautiful and eco-conscious. It's a win-win.
All right, so when you put it all together, the high fashion artistry, the incredible tech that mimics nature, and this push for sustainable keepsakes, it's all leading us to a really fascinating future. And it forces us to ask, what does authentic even mean anymore, when the lines between what's grown and what's engineered are becoming basically indistinguishable?
Maybe what we're looking at is a new authenticity, a belief that real isn't just about where something came from, but about how well it was executed. I mean, if an artificial flower is crafted so perfectly that it captures the soul of a real one, does it really matter that it came from a workshop instead of the ground? It suggests a new standard of beauty, one where artistry and technology are just as valid as nature.
Which leaves us with this final thought to chew on. In a world where a flower can be grown in a garden or engineered in a lab, which one is truly more authentic? Is it the one from the earth that wilts and dies, reminding us of the fragility of time? Or is it the one crafted by human hands, designed to capture a perfect moment and make it last forever? The answer, it seems, is still blooming.